Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to start the new chapter, that is plasma membrane. Plasma membrane. It is a universal feature of all living things, all living cells. How? This plasma membrane. What is the significance of plasma membrane? It serves as the limiting membrane for protoplasm. Organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, mitochondria, lysosomes, almost all organelles have this membrane. It's called plasma membrane. It acts as the limiting membrane. It gives boundary to all these organelles and also to the cell. And also it helps in transport of materials between the cell and the surrounding environment. Coming to the structure, it has a common general structure. Under electron microscope, it is appeared to have a bilayer, means two-layer structure, and there is an outer layer and inner layer, and these layers have a thickness of 2.5 nanometer, and in between these two layers there will be a space. And that space is of thickness 3.5 nanometer, and the whole together the total thickness of the plasma membrane is 8 nanometer. Then we can move to the next section and something more detail about the structure of the plasma membrane. Many different models were proposed, and first hint came regarding the plasma membrane structure from the side of Ernest Overton in 1890s. According to him, the boundary of the boundary of the cell is somewhat similar to fatty oil. Because why he thinks so? Because only fat soluble substance can easily cross through that membrane. So that's why he thinks that the cell membrane is similar to fatty oil. Next to him, E. Gotter and F. Grundle in 1925, they suggested that cell membranes contain a lipid bilayer. A lipid bilayer is there. Next came J. F. Danieli and H. Davison. From this onwards, emerged a somewhat standard models for the plasma membrane, and the first model is called a sandwich model for the plasma membrane. We are all familiar with the sandwiches. We know what, because something will be there in both sides, and in between some fillings will be there. So in the similar way, I will show you the image. This is a sandwich model of the cell membrane. And what are its features? It is made of 3 layers. 1, 2, 3. Okay. A bimolecular means a bilayer of lipid. Then 2 continuous layer of protein. And the arrangement of lipid is right angle to the protein layer. And also the polar ends of the lipid is this one. It is directed towards the outside, and the non-polar ends are directed towards inside. And the protein, even if it exists in the form of a continuous outer layer, in some region it pierces this lipid bilayer to form some channels or pores. That's about the sandwich model. I think it's very clear to you. Next, J.D. Robertson proposed unit membrane model. Actually, his concept is somewhat supporting the model that is proposed by Danieli and H. Davison. Then what additional point he contributed for that? He supported the Danieli-Davison's model and told that it is applicable to membrane, all membranes in the cell. All membranes inside the cell means membranes of organelles, different organelles, endoplasmic reticulum is there, mitochondria, Golgi, so many organelles and different things are there. All these are of having the same sandwich model. So that is why he renamed that model to unique membrane. It is applicable to almost all membranes. It is a universally applicable model. So it is called the unique membrane model. Next came the most and widely accepted fluid mosaic model, and is proposed by S.J. Singer and G.L. Nicholson in 1960s. It is known as the central dogma of membrane biology. It is the main fundamental acceptable concept regarding the plasma membrane, central dogma of the membrane biology. And what are its features according to this model, how the membrane looks like? It is as a highly dynamic structure. It's not a static one. It's a highly dynamic structure. And the lipid bilayer, according to this model also, the plasma membrane is composed of a lipid bilayer. This is one layer and this is the other layer, lipid bilayer. And it is existing in a fluidy nature, not in a rigid form. It's fluid, somewhat fluid. And so that's why these individual lipid molecules can move through that layer. And then proteins also there. Proteins, according to this model, that protein layer is not exists in the form of a continuous layer. Instead of that, it exists in the form of a mosaic. Mosaic, we know that it is appearing only here and there, discontinuously. So, according to this model, protein sheet is there, but it is not continuous. It is in the form of scattered mosaics throughout that plasma membrane here and there, and some are penetrating entirely through the lipid bilayer to form channels, certain channels. This is the fluid mosaic model. It's very important. You should be very much thorough this fluid mosaic model. Okay, next. Then we are going to understand about the membrane, mainly based on with the concept, with keeping the concept of fluid mosaic model in our mind. The lipid bilayer, we know that plasma membrane is composed of a lipid bilayer. Then we are going to understand about that lipid bilayer. What about its thickness? 100 angstrom is the thickness. Then what is the proportion of this lipid when taking the total mass of the cell? It constitutes 50% of the mass of almost all cells. What are its features? It forms a continuous double layer. We know that lipid forms a continuous double layer. I will show you that in the last picture also. I think you have seen that. So continuous double layer. Lipid exists in the form of a continuous double layer. Double layer, and on this layer various proteins are embedded, and this lipid is amphipathic. Amphipathic means it has a polar end and a non-polar end. So that's why it is called an amphipathic molecule lipid. And composition in two monolayers, because if we take these two layers, the composition of the lipids are different, and so this property give different function to different cells. So that difference in the lipid composition in the membrane of each type of cell, that is mainly responsible for the difference in the function of different cells. Understand? Okay. Then we are next following types of lipids. Which are the different types of lipids? Phospholipids is there, cholesterol is there, and glycolipids are there. Phospholipids, cholesterol, glycolipids. Next we are going to learn about all these three types of lipids. First one is phospholipids. Is otherwise called phosphoglycerides. It has three components. Look in the picture. Three components means which are the components? A3 carbon, glycerol, this one. Yeah. 3 carbon. 1, 2, 3. 3 carbon, glycerol is there. To that glycerol, what is attached? 2 fatty acids are attached. And to the glycerol, 1 phosphoric acid also attached. These are the 3 different components: phosphoric acid, glycerol, and 2 fatty acids. And the glycerol and phosphoric acid, that constitutes the head of the phospholipid, and tail consists of 2 fatty acids. And regarding that fatty acid, most probably one of the fatty acid chain is unsaturated and one is saturated. The increase in unsaturation, the degree of unsaturation in the fatty acids is directly proportional to the fluidity of the membrane. As the unsaturation increases, fluidity also increases. Then phospholipids are also again different types exist. 4 different types mainly. Which are the 4 different types of phospholipids in plasma membrane? They are phosphatidylcholine, sphingomyelin, phosphatidylserine, and phosphatidylethanolamine. These are the 4 different phospholipids in the plasma membrane. Okay. Next, another lipid, that is cholesterol. Cholesterol constitutes 50% in certain animal cells, not in all that, certain animal cells. And it is absent in plants and most plants and bacterial cells. Not entirely in all plant it is not absent. We can't tell like that. It is mostly, usually it is absent in plant cells. And absent in it is absent in bacterial cells. And cholesterol also has a hydrophilic head. Hydrophilic. Here this is the head. Hydrophilic head. It is pointing towards the outside surface. And a hydrophobic tail. It is embedded in the lipid bilayer. So think like this is the lipid bilayer. Lipid bilayer. Then the cholesterols head group. This is the hydrophilic. It exposed to the surface, and the remaining, that ring portion is it is embedded in the lipid bilayer. Okay, that's arrangement. And it is evenly distributed, means it is not clustered at any one region. Instead of that, it is evenly distributed among the 2 monolayers. What is the significance? It regulates fluidity. It prevents the plasma membrane from becoming much fluidy or too rigid. It maintains a particular state of the plasma membrane. Regulate the fluidity. Okay. Next, the last type of lipid, that is glycolipids. Glycolipids. That term itself indicates that it is a combination of lipid plus carbohydrate. And it is prominent in the nervous system cell membrane. Where it is more common? In the nervous systems, neuron cell membranes, nerve cell membrane, it is more abundant. Okay, by this we covered some almost all things regarding the lipids, lipid bilayer. Then what left? Proteins are there. So we are going to see about the proteins, membrane proteins. Protein content, what about its composition, how much it present? The composition varies from 18% in myelin membrane. In myelin membrane, the content of protein is only 18%. But coming to mitochondrial membrane, the protein, what about its amount? 75% of the total mass of the inner membrane, it is of protein. and generally the protein constitutes almost 50% of the mass of the cell. Then which are the types of membrane proteins? Membrane proteins also different types exist. Which are they? Transmembrane proteins, peripheral proteins are there, and then lipid anchor proteins. Next we are going to learn about each of these types. First one is transmembrane proteins. This is the picture of transmembrane proteins. Different types are there. Some have 3 spanning regions, some have only 2, somehow more than 3 mini spanning regions are there. One more specialty you can notice here, that is it is spanning through the lipid bilayer completely, spanning from outside till the inside spanning. So that's its peculiarity. Transmembrane protein means it spans through the lipid bilayer more than once in the form of alpha helix or beta strand. Alpha helix, we know what? It is the secondary level, secondary organization level of the amino acid protein. That is the alpha helix and beta helix. I am not going to explain about alpha helix and beta helix now, it's another topic. So just understand that. Then this transmembrane proteins also amphipathic. That means amphipathic means what? In the last slide I already explained to you what is amphipathic. Amphipathic means is having both hydrophobic and hydrophilic region. That is polar and non-polar region. Then that molecule is called amphipathic molecule. And the hydrophobic always seen inside the lipid bilayer, and the hydrophilic region always exposed to outside, maybe to the outer side and towards the cytoplasmic side. Okay, that's about in this slide. Next slide. Another type, next type of protein is called peripheral protein. Peripheral means outside. It is otherwise called extrinsic protein. So these proteins, this is the peripheral protein. It is seen only in the outside, outer, external surface of the plasma membrane, located on the surface of lipid bilayer, outer surface of the lipid bilayer. And it is attached to the lipid bilayer. It is attached to the this plasma membrane through this lipids head, through the lipids head, or by way of some oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides means what? Oligosaccharides means it contains several monosaccharide units together. Monosaccharides combined one by one to form oligosaccharides. When the number of monosaccharide units become even more and more, then it becomes polysaccharide. So I am just explaining what is oligosaccharide. Then next one is lipid anchored protein. Lipid anchored protein means another type. It can be seen either the outer side and also can be seen in the inner side of the cell membrane. That's the difference of this lipid anchored protein when compared with the peripheral protein. It is seen only in the outer surface, but lipid anchored protein can be found both outer and inner surface, but seen only in the surface. It will not span. Okay, that's about the lipid anchored protein, and also it is very tightly bound to the lipid bilayer by the help of covalent bond. Next, by this we covered about lipids, proteins. Next, what left? Carbohydrate, membrane carbohydrates. It is called, otherwise called cell coat or glycocalyx. Very important. So many times as 1 mark question and 4 mark question also this came for your examination. So you have to learn this by heart this. What is this cell coat, glycocalyx or membrane carbohydrates? They are carbohydrates seen on the surface of cell membrane. How it's seen? It is seen attached with the protein or lipids. and it will not be seen. It is not possible to see it in the inner side of the membrane. They are all oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides I already explained to you. Oligosaccharides are saccharides or carbohydrates containing less than 50 monosaccharide units. And all those sugar sequence of that oligosaccharides are very different types of monosaccharide units are present, and that gives specificity for each type of glycocalyx or cell coat. Okay, as the composition of this cell coat vary from cell to cell, that makes each cell typical when compared to the other one. Regarding the proportions vary from 2 to 10 percentage. How it vary depending on the which type of cell, which type of species. Then membrane carbohydrates are of two types: glycoproteins and glycolipids. Glycoproteins means it's a combination of protein plus carbohydrate. Let's mention here, carbohydrate attached with the proteins are called glycoprotein. And what about its composition? If we take the whole amount of membrane carbohydrate, 93% of the total membrane carbohydrate it is of glycoprotein, and the remaining 7% only is glycolipids. Glycolipids means carbohydrate plus lipids. Okay, next, functions of cell coat. What are the functions of cell coat or glycocalyx? It protects the cell from mechanical and chemical damage because it is a coat, so it can protect. And next function is filtration. Filtration, how it filtrate that cell coat that's seen around the vertebrate capillaries. Which capillaries? Especially the kidney glomerulus. We know what is the role of glomerulus. Glomerulus means it is filtering. Where we can see the glomerulus? Anybody remembering? Glomerulus, where we can see inside the Bowman's capsule. Nephron, inside the kidney nephron. It's a network of capillaries, and this part, it is called Bowman's capsule, and this network of capillaries is called the glomerulus, and the whole blood in our body is reaching the glomerulus, and from this the base particles the constituents, it is filtering, and the blood is filtering, entirely the blood is filtering to the space for removing its impurities. So there in that glomerulus, the cell coat that present in that glomerulus plays an important role in filtration. So in that way we can tell that cell coat helps in filtration. Next is provides a microenvironment for each type of cell. What we mean about the microenvironment? That means I will show you that this is the cell, and its outer surface we are seeing this cell coat, and it maintain or it can change the concentration of different substance in the cell surface. Cell coat can change the concentration, or other ways it can determine the concentration of different substances outside the cell. By determining that, it can give a microenvironment outside with respect to each cell. That is, it's another function. And this function is very important in the case of muscle cell, because muscle cell, we know that it is very excitable, and this cell coat is responsible for trapping the liquid sodium ions in the outer surface. So that is the importance. Next is function is cell recognition, and this cell coat itself helps the cell to recognize the cells and also the non-cell cells that enters in our body, maybe some fungi or bacteria. If those such type of foreign cells enters in our body, because of the presence of the specific type of cell code, our body can recognize self cell and no self cells. Most of the antigens we know that it is present in the membrane, cell membrane, and all those antigens are carbohydrates. Some and not at all antigens that this cell membrane carbohydrates acts as receptors also, receptors for perceiving different hormones, several neurotransmitter substances, so many things. So in that being a receptor, that is another function or significance of cell core. Then coming to the major functions of plasma membrane as general. First function is compartmentalization. Compartment, it divides each cell as separate compartment. So the activity of each cell is separated from the activity of another cell. It gives a division of labor. The next function is what? Selectively permeable barrier. It acts as a selectively permeable barrier that restricts the movement of certain molecules across. At the same time, it allows the movement of some other molecules across the membrane. And that is the permeability nature. So selectively, it permits only some substances. Particularly, it is acts as a barrier against the movement of water-soluble molecules and ions. Next, it acts as a scaffold for biochemical activities. What it means? It means it provides extensive framework for ordering the internal constituents of the cell. That means inside the cell so many biological reactions are taking place, and for that reaction each reactor need to meet with its next reactor in the correct time, correct place. For positioning the constituents correctly, this plasma membrane provides some extensive framework inside the cell. In that way, it arranges the liquid, each components, each reactants of each reactions very precisely and correctly for bringing about each reactions very well. Okay. Next function is transport of materials. And with the help of plasma membrane, the transport of materials is taking place inside the membrane. Different methods of transport exist. Diffusion, facilitated diffusion, active transport, bulk transport. All these things I think you have learned in our class. Anyway, we are going to learn all these things in the next coming section of the same chapter itself. Anyway, that time I will explain in detail. And also plasma membrane stands for responding to the external signals. By responding to external signals, it plays an important role in signal transduction. For each cell need to respond to many different type of signals that is reaching to it, and how they respond to each type of signals. Mostly by the way of certain receptors that is anchored in the plasma membrane. So in that way it helps in signal transduction. Next, energy transduction. Energy transduction means example, the case of chlorophyll and mitochondria. Both of them is engaged in generation of energy. In chlorophyll, photosynthesis is happening. Mitochondria, oxidative phosphorylation is happening. Both are responsible for the generation of ATP or energy for the cell function. So in that way, plasma membrane is involved in energy transduction. Is clear? Once more I will explain. chlorophyll and mitochondria. In both these type of cells, in its membrane contains so many proteins. In the case of mitochondria, I will draw and show you. This is its membrane in the case of mitochondria. And in the inner membrane, there are so many proteins, and these proteins are actually doing that ATP generation reaction, and those proteins are embedded in the plasma membrane. So plasma membrane is in that way important in energy transduction. Okay, clear? That means conversion of one type of energy to another type. That reaction is happening in the plasma membrane with the help of proteins anchored in the plasma membrane. Next function is intercellular interaction. Intercellular interaction means cell-cell interaction is very important for the coordinated function of the cells in a multicellular organism. And so in that way, plasma membrane plays an important role in facilitating the intercellular, means between the cell, for maintaining an interaction. In that sense also, plasma membrane playing a very important role. The plasma membrane allows the cells to recognize and signal one another, leading to the adherence and the exchange of materials. Okay, with this we can finish today's class and section. Thank you.